You are listening to AP Taylor Swift, the podcast for Swifties who are all about the lyrics. We're your hosts. I'm Jen.
I'm Muncie.
And I'm Jody.
And we are your unofficial professors of Taylor Swift. Hello and welcome to another episode of AP Taylor Swift. This week we are doing a deep dive. We will be deep diving the song Say Don't Go, but first, this is a continuation of our conversation from last week where we talked about circus references in Taylor Swift songs. So go ahead and listen to that if you have not already, and then come back. We will probably reference some things back and forth, so it's good to listen to these together. But for Say Don't Go, which is what we're doing today, reminder, this was from 1989 Taylor's version, so it was a vault track that came out in 2023, written by Diane Warren and Taylor Swift. As a reminder, if you are a new listener or an old listener who just has forgotten somehow, even though I say this in every other episode, the way we do our deep dives is we talk about who's the author, who are they speaking to, and then what's the purpose, what's going on with this text. We'll revisit the purpose at the end and see if we agree or if we completely disagree, or sometimes we just have different shades of the same color. We will get into the song Say Don't Go. We've got an I, we got a U, so it's going to be a classic Taylor song to deep dive. Ask.
I've known it from the very start. We're a shot in the darkest dark. Isn't there another song that starts off with that?
Getaway Car, we were shotgun, shot in the dark. I think, I will say this right now, I'm going to commit to this. I will do the Substack for this week, listeners, and I will compare the song to Getaway Car because it was something I really wanted to do with, because it has some circus elephants. Oh, good Lord.
It's not even that late.
No, it's not. That was just me. It has some circus elements, such as, we're on a sideshow, that kind of thing. So it does. It has a lot of
circus ain't a love story.
Yeah. Isn't there a sideshow reference in
Yes,
Getaway Car?
there is. But she actually says the word circus too.
Yeah, that was an honorable mention for sure for the circus episode that we just didn't do. But I want to spend some time
honorable mention that was not mentioned.
It's fine. We mentioned it here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've known it from the very shot. We're a shot in the darkest dark. Oh no, I'm unarmed.
So I've known it from the start. So that I has been aware since the beginning that we're
this might not happen.
Yeah, in the darkest dark. So it's not like, oh, it's a shot in the dark, which is a very casual colloquialism for like, oh, let me throw something out there. It's the darkest dark.
No, this is like barely a chance.
So yeah, what I'm seeing here is like it was always gonna be. There was never gonna be a chance anyways. It was already barely a chance, and then I show up unarmed. So now there's no chance. Like, how can you have to do a shot in the dark and then you don't even have the thing that you would use to shoot?
Or you're getting shot and you can't defend yourself.
Oh, we're a shot in the darkest dark.
Yeah. But there's the thing that I think is interesting is that, oh no, I'm unarmed.
Yeah.
Did she come unarmed? Did she get disarmed and is now realizing she's unarmed? I don't know if that's super clear in the narrative, but the oh no implies a sense of surprise of, it's not we're shot in the darkest dark and I'm unarmed, so we'll see how this goes. It's oh no.
But should you be surprised if you've known it from the start that this wasn't going to work?
But she's known from the start it's a shot in the darkest dark. She's not saying she knew from the start she was unarmed. Okay. So if you are armed in the darkest dark, you have a shot.
But it's so interesting because Jody is like interpreting this as a defense, right? Like, I'm defensive. Yeah. I would need to be armed to defend myself. But I was thinking about it as our relationship would be a shot in the dark anyways. In that sense, like, they would still be the ones shooting their shot.
No one can take a shot.
Like, and then they can't even take a shot. Like, to me, like, it's potentially like this relationship was rarely going to work, like, unlikely going to work anyways. But there's actually no hope because I can't even try.
So hopeless.
That's why last week I really wanted to point out the sharpshooters in the Wild West as a circus reference, because they were doing these insane shots. And to me, this is always okay, I've known from the start, this is going to be the hardest shot I've ever made in my life. Image I have in my mind, she's walking up, getting into this like dark cave, ready to do it. And she reaches down to her side and goes, oh no. I'm unarmed. Like, I already knew this was going to be hard, but like, it's like you're in your underwear giving a speech at school moment where you're like, I already knew this was going to be hard, but now there's something that makes this impossible to get through.
Nightmare vibes. And then you get into like the waiting is sadness, fading into madness. And so I do get a sense of helplessness. And then again, we have, oh no, it won't stop. So I guess like in a nightmare, you expect to wake up at some point, except this thing is not ending. It's not
Yeah.
stopping. And
Nightmare is a
so,
great word for how this feels right now.
right?
I also think she has a lot of, we talked about this last week with circuses, the idea of cages and things
Hmm.
turning into madness, that there's something that we were talking about last week of like fame being the
Yeah.
voyeurism kind of traps you. But then in here, which this is me meta narrating because I know how the rest of the song goes, that there's a relationship. The waiting, so waiting is sadness. So waiting is in its own way a bit of a cage because there's not much you can do when you're waiting. You're just sitting there and then it fades into madness. So she uses this metaphor a lot in different ways. I don't know if it's even a metaphor, but she uses this concept a lot
Yeah.
in different ways of being trapped, being put in a situation can turn one emotion to madness over time. Even statues crumble if they're made to wait, from TTPD. She uses this a lot, that waiting,
Yeah.
being caged doesn't work out well for most
Yeah,
people.
we talked about that with Jody's song.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So it feels like really similar, this helplessness of being trapped.
The oh no, it won't stop. This like the journey to madness almost feels like she's lost control. That it won't stop. Like there is a control situation happening there
Well,
with her
I'm
emotions.
going back to the nightmare, that thing that I was bringing up, because I just feel like if something is not going right, you expect an end. Even if you're not in control, you hope that something will put you out of your misery, or that there will be some relief. And it just feels like there's no relief. So I think the control element is a part of it, but even if you didn't have control, there's no like point in hoping. Like again, it's just like a hopeless nightmare that is not stopping.
Yeah, I guess I was having the it modify waiting. The waiting is a sadness fading into madness. It won't stop. The waiting won't stop. This process of waiting
Mhm.
and turning into madness won't stop. So I think I don't think there's one right answer. I think it sort of depends on what's not stopping can change that meaning.
I really want to do a grammar episode.
Do you though?
Grammar.
If Grammarly will sponsor
Oh,
it,
grammar.
absolutely.
We'll have to do a video one so we can have the sentences up and we can
Yeah.
do the like
The prepositional,
yeah.
yeah, parenthesize the prepositional phrases and
I'm standing on a tightrope alone. I hold my breath a little bit longer. Okay, this is a weird one because, like, who stands with other people on a tightrope?
Well, first of all, there are a lot of people who will do partner acts where you're on the
That
tightrope.
seems like infinitely more dangerous. If I were on a tightrope, I would not want another person also on that tightrope.
I don't disagree that it's more dangerous. Always heard this as we've had this partner act that we've done forever, and now I'm here alone. Not even that it's safer, but like, what's my next move? Like, we have this choreography, we have this dance, we have this routine we do together. And it's like, I'm standing up here waiting for my cue, and it's not coming because I'm by myself. So, like, I don't even know what to do next because this has always been a partner thing that I've done on this tightrope. And
Maybe.
again, I've known it from the very start. We're a shot in the darkest dark. So the tightrope thing, we again could be trying to do the impossible, and now you're not trying to do the impossible with me, and so I'm trying to do the impossible on my own. I'm unarmed. I'm on this tightrope alone. I've lost my partner in attempting to do the impossible.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I also definitely feel the emphasis on alone. I just think it's a weird metaphor to use here because
it's not that weird, except that I've been Googling partner tightrope acts and I can't tell what's in AI images and what's real. So I don't even, like, this can't be real. It's like she's standing on his head.
Oh no, that's definitely a
that's
real
probably
thing.
real.
Yeah.
Okay.
People
Well,
do crazy things. But it could also even be alone of just like there's no one around. I'm doing this
Yeah,
performance
like
with
nobody's even
I'm
nothing.
risking
watching.
my life and nobody's even watching and
Yeah, no
nobody's
one
even
cares.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think whatever it is, there's incredible risk, vulnerability, chaos, and craziness in whatever is happening. But I'm gonna hold my breath a little longer and see if maybe something will happen or change.
Yeah, I think that's why I always felt sort of that partner thing in it of I hold my breath a little bit longer is like I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the cue. I'm waiting for the thing that will spur me to action. But to even imagine standing on a tightrope with tightropes, you really move. Like
Yeah,
that's how
you
you
have
mostly
to.
keep your balance. To stand on a tightrope is incredibly hard to do. And to do that waiting for your next
To stay
cue is
still.
like, girl, just give up. Like, this isn't worth the work.
Halfway out the door, but it won't close. I'm holding out hope for you.
Okay, so this is why I think I'm leaning more towards the nobody's even watching. I can see the waiting on a cue, but actually this next line makes me feel like the holding my breath and halfway out the door, but it won't close, like really has me thinking that I doing a tightrope is effort. And what is the point of doing it if you're not even here? I'm alone, nobody's there to recognize it, and I'll wait for another second, but really I don't think you're coming.
Right, because I'm holding out hope for you to say, "Don't go," right? Halfway out the
Yeah.
door, I'm trying to go, but I
Yeah.
can't quite get myself to go out the door and close the door on whatever this is,
Idea of performing for an audience that's never coming is really freaking depressing.
or this that we are a shot in the dark is dark, and, like, still hoping that we have a shot.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's all waiting. Just depend.
Yeah.
Is it waiting for an audience? Is it waiting for a partner? I don't know. But I'm standing on this tightrope, holding my breath a little bit longer. You hold your breath when you're waiting for something. You're
Yes.
halfway out the door, so you're not closing it, and you're waiting. And I'm holding out hope for you to say something. There's
Well,
clear waitings
the
happening.
"you," I think we're finally getting to the "you." This is the first time we have it. I'm holding out hope for you to say, "Don't go." I would stay forever if you say, "Don't go." So I would stay standing on this tightrope, holding my breath.
You just want to leave me hanging. She's just hanging out on this tightrope.
I hate whoever this is.
It's the hanging analogy.
We're just in a situationship, and you're saying we're hanging out. And come
It's like
on,
just hang out there.
ah,
Because even if they were to say don't go, like they're not showing up to this
right.
tightrope thing. She's just hanging out alone. Why'd you have to lead me on? Why'd you have to twist a knife?
I love it. We're like performing it. We're feeling this.
There are so many metaphors in like the first 8 lines of this song. It's like metaphor, 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 metaphor.
Yeah, that's why I think it's mostly about the waiting because they're all incomplete metaphors. They are all
Hmm.
metaphors that have these moments of, so she shows up to the shot in the shard is dark, she's unarmed. She could have someone show up and say, "Here, use my
Right,
gun." She's on the tightrope alone, holding her breath. Someone could say, "Hey, get down. You don't need to do that." And we all of these are the starts of stories that we never
right.
get the
Halfway out the
second half.
door. Yeah.
Mhm. And she's saying if you said something that could the narrative can move forward again, but these are all frozen at this halfway point of there's millions of ways this narrative could go. Are
I
you going to
totally
say something to make that happen?
I totally agree. I mean, the name of the song is "Say Don't Go." So we know that there's an element of waiting throughout this whole song. I just think that from a technique, it's so clever. It's exactly what you're saying. It's like halfway points, and that's creating this real sense of anxiety. Like I started off saying in the first stanza, it feels like we're stuck in this nightmare that I want to wake up from, but it just won't stop. And we keep going. And I was using the term metaphor. There definitely are metaphors, but they're also like really common idioms. Like these are phrases that everybody would recognize instantly, and they're very commonly used to describe a feeling. Like even the fact that I say you're just hanging out, you're leave me hanging. Like that's a phrase that people use. She's gone out of her way to just like literally pack them line after line
Yeah.
after line.
Lead me on, twist the knife.
Exactly. This entire song, I'm like, these are just idioms, one after the other. And it creates this real sense of anxiety. I know exactly the feeling that she's trying to convey because these are common phrases that we all use. We just don't use them all together, but she's packed them all together.
I mean, there are vignettes of these little moments that drop off at the climax.
It's kind of like an immature version of "It's Time to Go" because that song uses little vignettes and lots of different relationship metaphors, but that one feels more complete. This one definitely feels more left hanging, for lack of a better phrase.
Right. Yeah. Which is like, that's exactly what we're trying to communicate. So the fact
Yeah.
that you list out all these phrases that leave you hanging to communicate a sense of hanging. And so the first 2 stanzas are like that. I'm just looking at this structurally for a second. Then the third stanza, we get into a bunch of rhetorical questions.
Yeah, I think it's very much intentional that we're left without answers and then we go into questions.
Yeah, why'd you have to lead me on? Why'd you have to twist the knife? Walk away, leave me bleeding. Why'd you whisper in the dark just to leave me in the night? Now your
Yeah.
silence has me screaming.
And it's funny that we included a reference to "Is it over now?" in the last episode because that's also a song
Mhm.
that is a rhetorical question. And
Yeah.
so clearly there was something happen in the vault, or actually not even just the vault, because you have "Out of the Woods," you have other songs on 1989 that are all these rhetorical questions. And rhetorical questions kind of leave you hanging because they are rhetorical.
And a real sense of like you can't have closure for
Right.
something that is left hanging, right?
Right.
Some of her songs have closure. There's a real
Yeah.
sense of no closure in the way that there's open-ended questions and
Yeah.
these idioms that deliberately communicate that feeling of being left in the middle of something.
And the chorus here is really where we start to get hmm, I will say this, but then I'm going to qualify it. Is where we start to get information about the you, but very specifically information about the you from the point of view of the I. Why'd you have to lead me on? So, from the I's point of view, the you led her on, twisted the knife, walked away, and left her bleeding. I always assumed it's kind of like a knife in the back, twisting
Yeah.
it, like really driving in some sort of a painful situation.
Backstabbing, yeah.
Yeah, she loves using visceral bodily images for emotional pain. And then why'd you whisper in the dark? I always, pillow talk kind of sweetness just to leave me in the night.
Mm.
And now your silence has me screaming.
I think whispers in the dark can also be like how you might try to find your way around. Like if it's completely pitch black and dark and you hear a faint whisper, a sound,
Yeah.
you try to follow the sound and then the person just
To
leaves the
safety,
yeah,
right?
to
Like you're
safety,
doing that to
yeah.
get to safety,
Hmm.
and that's
And
not
the
available
silence and
here.
that silence has me screaming because you can't find
You're
your
not,
way out if you
because you're not
can't.
here. You're not
Yeah,
talking.
you're
Well,
not
they
here. You
left. You
left me.
left me
Yeah,
in
you
the
left me
night.
in the
Yeah.
night and it's dark and I don't know how to get out.
That's interesting. Yeah, I always read it as the whisper in the dark is kind of like the whispering of sweet nothings. And
It could
then
be. I mean, I
they
think
just bail.
yeah, but yeah, it could be that also. It could be like your sweet whispers were like a lifeline. But I'm also thinking of it as a lifeline of like I'm in the
Hmm.
dark and so your whisper is all I really can go to and I think it could be both.
I also always loved the juxtaposition of silence and screaming.
Yeah.
Of it always created this image of like there's some sort of equilibrium in this relationship of noise, for lack of a better word. And the more silent the you got, the louder the I got. That it was like this proportional of like the more you back away, the more like enraged and hurt I am.
Screaming is also an interesting choice because I've mentioned this once before on the show, but I always think of the rest of the world as black and white. We were in screaming color. And this is in a very different context, but that word of screaming still to me brings that vivid imagery of screaming color.
And then we move on to the I would stay forever if you say, don't, go, go. I always loved the echo there because it's almost like she's trying to like guide him. So like you just have to say, don't, go. Okay, there we go. We got it.
Oh, I
Like that's all you have to
love
do.
that.
But also the way I think of it is, when there's emptiness, there's echoes
Yes.
in the
Hmm.
emptiness because there's no one there.
Yeah, I always thought about the echo because she's all alone and it's just
Yeah.
her own
But I
voice
like
bouncing
both.
off the walls. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like both.
Yeah, it's like she's hearing it back, but also like a nudge of just like just say it. Just say don't.
The way that the music it kind of sounds like there's multiple people in the
Yeah.
echo,
Hmm.
even though it is her voice, but it just has this like kind of plurality to it. And so I also sometimes imagine the Greek chorus,
Yeah.
where
Hmm.
you have
Yeah, I
you
had
have a
that thought too.
play, you have an actor that's like saying something, and then you got like the little Hercules woman
Yeah, I
in
was
the
gonna say
background.
Hercules is
Yeah.
exactly
I just saw Six, the musical, last
so good.
night, which was
So
so
good.
good. And they do that
So
because it's the
good.
six wives of
So
Henry
good.
VIII. And whichever wife is singing, the rest of them are
Do better.
doing
Yes.
that kind of Greek chorus backup. So it was making me think of that too.
Now I'm pacing on shaky ground. I love that we started with a tightrope and now we're
Yep.
on the ground, but the ground is
Hmm.
shaky. That even being down on the ground is not safe. It's
It's not
shaking.
stable. Yeah.
So there's also this potential element, which I would never have thought of if I hadn't been doing this silks class, It's when I'm really like trying to do something difficult, especially when I'm doing like a foot lock, so I'm like putting all my
Yeah.
weight on a foot. I like kind of stumble when I get on the ground. That there's sort of the consequence of doing something that dramatic can
Mm,
make any ground shaky. Like, is the question that I have
Yeah.
is this ground shaky or does it feel shaky because of everything she has
everything
gone
going
through?
on.
I love
Yeah.
that you said that because I also didn't think of that, but you're so right. It's like having sea legs when you get off the water. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
not because the ground is wobbly, it's because you're wobbly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
Interesting.
Which strike a match, then you blow it out. Oh no, oh no, it's not fair. To me, makes it feel like it's what you're describing, Jen, that it's not the ground, it's the situation you're putting yourself in that is unstable because this person is still here putting out your dreams, your hopes, because it's not possible.
Well, and I think this could even be going back up to we were a shot in the darkest dark of trying to light a match, trying to bring some light into that dark to improve the odds. And the you is like, nah,
Not
we're
happening.
not doing that. There's a lot of darkness because it's also the why do you whisper in the dark and leave me in the night. So there's
Yeah.
this clear like light versus dark dichotomy.
Yeah.
I was trying to look up really fast to see if strike a match means anything specific as an idiom, and I don't. Oh, it does. It says strike a match means it can hold potential.
Yeah. And then you blow
Oh,
it out.
yeah. That makes sense.
It's multi meanings because first of all, she's in the dark, so striking a match would be like
Giving you some light.
an attempt at creating light. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that it can also mean hope because then he like blows out the hope.
You're right.
So
Yeah.
But then, okay, this is where I'm like, dude, wait a second. You kiss me and it stops time, and I'm yours, but you're not mine.
don't fall for it. No, just say no.
Right? This
That should
is
be
where
the
it's still
answer to the song. Say don't go.
just say
Just
no.
say no.
It's giving situationship. You kiss me and I'm loving I'm in heaven. It stops time. I'm yours, but you're not mine. They are not on the literally not on the same page in whatever this is.
It's a one-sided relationship for sure.
Yes.
It is. Hey, if any listener wants to do this would be a really fun creative writing thing I'd really be interested in.
Love it when you
To
give
write this
homework.
song from the viewpoint of the you, because it's clear to me in this song, why'd you have to lead me on? Why'd you have to twist the knife? So that I went into the relationship knowing we don't have a shot, but that felt like this person led her on. So maybe it was a love bombing situation, but that there was some signs. The whispers in the night were maybe a good thing, but then this other person was like, actually, I'm out. I'm going to blow out this light. I'm not into it. You could write the other point of view of being like, maybe they didn't try to lead them on. Like, this is a very unreliable
If
night writer
only
song.
there was a songwriter that this song was about that could respond with
Well,
a song. It just would be
rhetoric, not
insane.
rumors, Monty.
Like
I want our listeners to do a creative writing exercise
If
and send it to us.
if only the you was a songwriter who could
As
potentially
the
respond.
single woman here, I can tell you that the answer from the other perspective will be I'm not ready for a serious relationship, but I like spending time with you, so let's just keep doing what we're doing.
I don't know if there's evidence for this, but the line, I'm yours, but you're not mine, has also the potential to be interpreted that you're not mine, but maybe
Yes.
you're someone else's. Like, this could be another
Oh,
woman's
oh
situation.
no. I was gonna go the
Yeah,
other
oh,
route and
exactly.
say that like I'm yours, but I don't actually want you. Like you're not
I'm
mine.
committing to
That's
you.
also an option. It's a really fascinating line because it has a lot of implications. It could be, I'm the
Yeah.
other woman, you already belong to someone else. That's why it was a shot in the darkest dark, because
Interesting.
this was a stupid idea. Or it could be, you're not mine, like I'm yours, but you're not mine. Maybe you don't fit for me. Like
Yeah.
that line can
Like
mean a
I
lot of
can't
things.
call you mine
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Like you're like I'm all yours, but I can't call you mine. Like whether you want to
Interesting.
be mine or not is not an option for you.
Although I will say now that I said
Right.
there's not a ton of other evidence for the other woman theory, that leaving in the night might be some evidence for it.
Oh, and her being alone, and there's madness. I'm holding my breath. I'm holding out hope.
I'm waiting. Maybe you're waiting for him to leave her to then be able to actually be with you. This was not a theory I came in with, but I'm just now throwing it out there.
This is what happens here. This is what happens here. So now we get to the pre-chorus and it shifts from the tightrope. Instead of the tightrope, now
Mhm.
it's I'm standing on the sidewalk alone. I wait for you to drive by. I'm trying to see the cards that you won't show. I'm about to fold unless
Go.
you.
The drive-by's always been interesting to me because it's not really a moment that is it does she just want a glimpse of him?
This needs some
I don't
unpacking.
know.
We've gone from tightrope to
Who
shaky
walks?
ground, which we decided it wasn't necessarily the ground shaking, perhaps, to a sidewalk, which is very
Right.
much. First of all, you're supposed to walk on a sidewalk, not stand. Keep it moving.
Sounds you sound like you're the New Yorker.
Also
I'm so proud.
alone. Sidewalks can be lonely, I guess, but usually not. It's like a weird choice of a location.
I feel like for me, it's that she's still standing in one place. And if someone's driving by, to your
Yeah.
point, Jen, like they're moving and you're not.
Yeah, there's definitely a motion thing, and also the idea, which this is why I think as part of me went into the like partner on the tightrope is like the being alone might not necessarily mean that no one else is there, but that she is alone in what she's doing. Like I'm thinking about standing on a sidewalk alone. Like if you were waiting with someone in the past, or you were like, oh, this is thinking of a Cornelia Street reference of like, oh, I'll never walk Cornelia Street again. If I've always walked Cornelia Street with someone else, to be standing on that sidewalk alone,
Mhm.
maybe people are passing, but I'm acutely feeling how alone I am right now.
Feels very
Yeah.
different.
Because the odds of being alone on a
Yeah.
sidewalk somewhere, especially because,
Waiting for you to
yeah,
drive by. Yeah, I
Depends where you are.
think there's definitely something there to be said of like roads are long, and if you're just standing on a sidewalk waiting for you to drive by, like you could be waiting a long time, that is not like I'm waiting outside your house for you to come out. Like it's
yeah,
not a specific location.
Right. It's not I'm standing on the sidewalk
yeah,
alone waiting for you to come out of your house. Well, I'm trying to see the cards you won't show. I'm trying to like get a glimpse. And that's again, I think that's a good maybe that's why it's drive by because trying to see the cards you won't show. I'm trying to get a glimpse.
This is more idioms. Like this is more now we're having a poker reference. Like
Yes.
she has packed this song with these different metaphors.
Do we think it makes it really cliche and maybe that's why it wasn't released in 1989?
I actually think it's a more complex song. I think the emotion of it, my pitch, this is a wildly hypothesizing about Taylor's life. I think because even in this, we have listened to the song and been like, girl, you shouldn't be liking this person. I always had a feeling that this was a song that she was nervous it would hurt her image if it came out of like, you're kind of pathetic.
Mm,
And now she's looking back and being like, I don't care. I really felt those feelings.
Mm, I
I
think
don't care. Yeah, she's
Jody could be onto something in that I imagine if I were like a producer or I had a young woman who is I don't know like 22 years old coming to me and is like or 23, 24, however old she was and was like this is my song. I think at first glance it could sound a little cheesy and have too many cliches. But I think that one of the cool things about her getting to just release it and say it's actually good. This song was a huge hit. All three of us wanted to deep dive it because we
Yes.
love this song. And as we're deep diving it, the metaphors and all of these idioms do serve a purpose. They're actually creating a
yeah.
feeling. And so it's actually really cleverly done. And so it could have been that maybe it was
Yeah.
just cut because
Yeah, I think the song, and I know we're not done with it yet, but like would have been perceived different. Again,
yeah.
1989 was her first pop hit, so the song would have
Yeah.
been perceived differently when she's making an entrance into pop. But now that she's been in this space for more than for 10 years when the time this came out, she can release this and this is not a measure of how good she is as a pop artist. This
People
is
know to go a
we can
little
look at the
deeper.
lyrics and
Yeah.
we can I also think I would love to do an episode just on the re-releases and the vault songs in general, but like there is an art to the songs that go into an album and what
Yeah.
gets left off doesn't mean it's a bad song or
Mhm.
just could be have similar themes that have already served like the purpose of this song has already been served going to we will get to the purpose maybe she's already had that purpose in a different song on the album and so this would just be repetitive.
I mean, maybe it would have made her seem too desperate and not been an image thing. Also, at this time, like assuming that the songs, I know we're not doing rumors, but like when her new Taylor's version came out, I mean, it was like scandal galore in the rumor mill. And so I think also, if like just from a conversation
Yeah.
perspective, if she had released it earlier when it was maybe much closer to her dating history at
Yeah.
that time, I think it would have probably landed very differently.
It would say something different.
Well, getting back to
Yeah.
the lyrics, no, I had an example that I think maybe helps me sort of understand the sidewalk alone line too. It makes me think a little bit. It's not a one to one, but I think it might help. When a couple years ago, I went with some friends to see the Tour de France, which was incredibly cool. We were in France. We went to the small town. We stood by. We were near the finish line, so we stood up right by the like side of the road guard things, guard rails. And I mean, we stood there for probably an hour and we saw 10 seconds maybe of the cyclist. Cause that's what you do. You know, if you're standing and someone's going really moving fast, and I still thought it was cool because I got to be 20 feet away from the greatest cyclists in the world and I got to see them. And I thought that was really cool and it was worth it to me. But to say you're standing on the sidewalk waiting for a glimpse of someone has this like sort of power dynamic of like I'm the fan and you're the star almost. Like you don't stand on a sidewalk for a glimpse of someone unless there's some sort of admiration, adoration, saying I think that this glimpse is worth the wait, which for most people you don't do unless there is some sort of like this is a rarity, this is something I want to tell stories about. There's some sort of dynamic there. I
Yeah.
think that the Tour de France, I was like, yeah, to me that was worth it. But they're famous and this is an institution, this is something that's really cool. I'll never get to do this again. I would not stand on a sidewalk to wait for some person I know to drive by.
That makes me think of celebrities. I think a lot of
Yes,
times when
exactly.
celebrities are in a town, that there's one example where they're in a car or like literally driving by in a limo or like whatever, but it's like you have sidewalks lined with fans just waiting. Happens to her all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah,
Happens to
sure.
Taylor
And
all the time.
I think that actually makes a lot of sense when we think about it from that perspective.
But it means that the power that the you has over the I is significant.
Yeah, it's like could be worship.
Well, I think we start to get that in some of the bridge. So it before we get to the bridge, it gets to the chorus again, and then we get to our favorite part in any Taylor song, the bridge. Do you want me to say the echoes? Why'd you have to?
Why'd you have
I
to?
want Jody to read it, and I
Good.
want Mom
That's
to
what we do
repeat
this.
it.
Okay, great.
You were on.
Ready?
You were ready. You were
Yeah,
ready.
we didn't need the direction. Ready? Why'd you have to?
Why'd you have to?
Make me want you.
You want you.
Why'd you have to?
Why'd you have to?
Give me nothing back.
Give me
Why'd you have
nothing
to?
back.
That one doesn't have an echo, but that's
Oh,
okay. I'll forgive it.
fine.
I love that you're doing this from memory. I'm reading it. Why'd you have to?
Why'd you have to?
Make me love you.
Make me love you.
I said I love you.
I said I love you.
You
Sorry, that
say
was so
nothing back.
creepy. It's just getting creepier. I apologize.
It's fine. It's great. We're leaving it in. We're starting to get to the dynamic here that I think I was a little confused about the whole time because I couldn't quite tell, is this the speaker is frustrated and is like, I'm out unless you tell me to stay in, or I love you, but I have to go unless you will finally tell me that you're in. Like, they're similar, but they're different. And here in the bridge, I feel like this is where we understand that, like, she wasn't in. This was a shot in the darkest dark until you made me want you.
You made me, yeah.
You made me want you, but then you're not giving me anything. You made me love you, but you didn't say it back.
I always love. This has nothing to do with the I or the you. I always loved in the song. It says, "I said I love you. You say nothing back," and there's that beat of just pure silence in the song that you like have to wait, and then it goes into the "Why'd you have to leave me on?" Like that beat of silence after you say nothing back.
It's cathartic.
Oh, it gets me every time.
Also, every
It
time
was
she
so
says,
good.
give me nothing back, and you say nothing back, there's no echo. That's the only
Yeah.
part of the bridge where
Mhm.
there's no
I was thinking
call and
about that because we
response.
talked about a few different takes on what that echo could be. Is it an echo in the emptiness?
Yeah.
Is it her coaching somebody to say something else? Is it the Hercules woman? And the fact that there's nothing after you say nothing back
Yeah. It's
makes
like, oh
me
shit, you're
think
right.
that well, it's also like the screaming and the silence. It's like the silence is so loud,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's why I think it would be so interesting to play around with all the possible versions of the other point of view, because what did it look like for person B to make person A want person B? Like, what does it look like to make me want you? And there are versions of that where it was innocent, where it was the person was like, maybe we had something and they just were charismatic and the other person just kind of fell for it. And there are versions of it that are very toxic and very problematic. And this song to me has always come across as sitting in that moment of pain and saying, I blame you for all of
Yeah.
this. But it's never come across to me as a song that's saying, 10 years later, I'm still
Right.
this mad at you. Like, I don't think the song necessarily is a, like, this is definitively what happened. It's just, I'm in the pain and you did this to me.
Yeah, I forgot which song it was that we talked about where it was very much a looking back on State of Grace, I think, or Holy Ground. Holy
Holy
Ground.
ground. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it was I remember, and it's
Hmm.
really very much talking about the recollection, and this is very in the moment. I'm waiting for you to say, like,
Yeah,
actively,
I'm
I'm
asking you to
asking you to
say, yeah.
say in the moment. And I think that's where this anxiety really is on high here in the song.
I think it is interesting the point that you made about none of this would have happened if you hadn't started it in the first place. So what the heck, dude?
And I'm sure he thinks he did nothing, or maybe he did do nothing, and
Yeah.
that's where I really, like, I'm, like, literally sitting here being like, "What would the song
The
back
fans
be?"
want to
Yeah.
know. Give us
It could be,
a
Hey,
sequel.
a really enterprising TikTok creator would sit here and write songs from the other perspective of all Taylor songs.
yeah. I mean,
You're welcome,
I think that's
people, whoever does
part
that.
of the beauty of this song. We say this all the time, but you can project
Yeah.
yourself onto Taylor songs. And so if you are in this situation with someone who didn't do anything wrong, but you're just like, oh, you were so wonderful, it made me fall in love with you, you can relate to the song. If you're in a situation where someone love bombed you and then treated you horribly, you can relate to the song. Like, the lack of an answer, I think, lends itself to being such a hit, a song that so many people love.
I love that we're back at the bridge with a bunch of rhetorical questions. The
Yeah.
format of this song is really incredible to me because I just think it's like metaphor, 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 metaphor. Question, 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 question. Metaphor, metaphor, metaphor. Question, 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 question. And then we just end with a bunch
That's
of
how it
questions.
feels to be in this
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
It's just
It's like, how do I describe this feeling? The only way that you can is like, it's like this example. It's like this example. You're giving all of these things.
my journals from, like, breakups, even if it wasn't a serious relationship, if it was just like a situation or whatever, this feels like, basically look like this.
Which is incredible.
I recently went and labeled all of my journals. Anyway, I'm a little OCD.
I have never thought of this before, and I should have, but reading this through the bridge, it just dawned on me that it feels like the scenario was quite likely. She said, I love you. He said nothing back. There was silence, and she got up and started to leave. And this is the moment. So, like, I think timeline, when we're talking about, like, this isn't looking back, I think this is
Like,
like,
in the moment.
yeah, 2 to 5 minutes after she said I love you and he didn't respond. And so she's walking up to the door saying, like, tell me don't go. Tell me to, like, come back and, like, let's, like, you want to do this.
I love that.
In silence, and it's still
Forget
silence. And
2 to
then
5 minutes, this is, like, in the moment. This is, like, a freeze frame, and it, like,
yeah, I imagine that you say nothing back was like, I said I love you, and then you sit and to me, because it's more heartbreaking, that she sat in silence for a couple of minutes, like, expecting a response. And that this is her finally being like, I guess I'll leave
Yeah.
then, since
It's
you're
like
not
I
saying
was
a
I
single
was
word.
bluffing, but you aren't going to call me out on it and you're not going to stop me. And all I want
Yeah.
did you guys see the breakup with Jennifer Aniston?
no.
No, is that with Vince
Yes.
Vaughn? Yes.
I think
I do think I did, but it's been
I
probably a decade.
I saw that movie ages ago and it wasn't like that remarkable a movie, but I think about it all the time because probably like I personally have never gone through a breakup. And so maybe this is my entire understanding of breakups. But also the
I love it.
the movie itself, actually, the thing that was so fascinating to me as just like a study of people is they have a relationship that has all kinds of problems, But none of those problems are the things that cause the breakup. The breakup happens over a fight that they're having while I think he's loading the dishwasher or something. Like, it was something like really, really ordinary. They live together. They're like perfect for each other. They're best friends. Of course, they have their issues. But like one day he was loading the dishwasher or something, and they have just like a little argument over like the way that the dishwasher is being loaded. And it just like turns into this big argument that started for something really small, and she ends up leaving. And the whole rest of the movie, you're following these two characters. They're completely both a mess. They're like, that was my life partner, like whatever. But like neither of them want to be the one to go back because they think the other person was so at fault. And like at the end, they eventually end up moving on. They marry other people, whatever. And like at the end, they run into each other one day. And it's like, you as the audience and the viewer know that like it was just like a, why didn't you stop me? Like, why did you let me go? Is the question. And like they end up breaking up because and like going into
Because
totally
they
different
wouldn't communicate.
because they just both of them thought,
Yeah,
well, the other
pride.
person should have stopped me.
Yeah. I will give a literary comparison, The Rom-Commers by Katherine Center. Really fun
Oh, I saw that book on the
book.
library the other day.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Little enemies to lovers, but then it's very similar to like, why'd you have to make me want you? Why'd you have to make me love you? You said nothing back, and I'm like waiting for you to like say don't go, and he doesn't, and then I won't spoil the book, or maybe that's spoiled.
I'm also now imagining that Monzi has a friend going through a bad breakup, and she's
So
like,
you should
"Yeah,
watch
have you seen the
Breakup.
No, I
breakup?"
would never
So
say
this is
that.
just. I feel like what you're going through is just like what Jennifer
Jennifer
Aniston.
Aniston knows exactly how you're
You
feeling.
wouldn't. I know
never
you
say
wouldn't.
that.
No. But that's a very funny
No.
image to me of you're like, this is the only
No.
comparison I have.
I think okay, so here's the reason that I think this movie stands out to me is that most of the time when I talk to people who have gone through breakups and stuff, the emotions are so high and like you feel like there's legitimate reasons why relationships don't work out. This movie was a great example though of maybe like the more reality of the people experiencing it themselves, where like it is big emotions, but as an outsider who's not invested, it could be like the littlest thing
Yeah,
that
it seems
causes
simple.
whatever. Like when you have a friend or someone that you're close to who's going through it, you feel the big emotions. You're like, well, there were these issues and that issues and like whatever. But sometimes taking that neutral lens, like in this song, to me, it feels like there was never much hope for this relationship, anyways. But these things are so fragile, and it can come down to just wanting somebody to just say stop. Like it could be that simple. It could just be as simple as just saying don't go, and it would go in a completely different direction.
Are we at the purpose?
I don't know. I also want to point out you're a very good friend, Monzi. You wouldn't actually do it, but it was creating this like SNL
Yeah.
sketch in my mind of someone with an incredible life, and like her friends have all these problems, and she just keeps making like movie
Like, I
references.
can't
'cause
personally
that's like
relate.
the only thing she has to support them. Yeah, personally,
However-
my marriage is incredible, but this one movie I saw one time, I think you might really connect to that.
That would be amazing.
So as a bit, it was very funny to me.
I
But
think
no,
that would be a
obviously
great
you would not
bit.
do
You
that.
should pitch it.
Go
Somebody
pitch
get
it to Lorne Michaels.
on the phone.
Yeah, I'll text Lauren real fast. We should probably talk about the end though, because the only closure we get, I think, is her giving up.
Yes, but you won't. Yeah, I would stay forever if you say don't go, but you won't. But you won't.
But you won't. She says, but you won't 6 times in the
Is that an
final.
important number?
No, just like it's
I'm kidding.
it's repeated a lot. It's not like
Yeah.
oh you won't. It's no you won't.
Poetic repetition, which means we should pay attention.
Yeah, to me, it's her convincing herself,
Yeah.
saying, but you won't, you won't, you won't. I would stay forever, but you won't. Like, no, walk out this door, walk out this door. Like, it's not
I
gonna
do think
happen.
it gets more and more definitive as she's saying it, even
she's
in the song.
recognizes it's not going to happen.
Mhm.
I don't know
Yeah.
that I'm going to properly articulate my purpose if we're ready for it, but I definitely through this conversation see this as the immediate processing of the emotions of, oh shit, this really is going to end. And we are at that ending point. And I loved what you were both saying around just the processing and how many questions there are, and how you can't even think about, like, we don't really get too much of what happened here. We get a lot of idioms and metaphors, but not a lot of action beyond there's waiting, you're not showing up, and you made me love you. But to Jen, to your point, it's a very unreliable narrator, and that's exactly what you are. in a relationship and in a breakup.
It feels like the details
Yeah,
actually
the
almost
details
don't
don't matter.
matter. Yeah.
It's very much about the emotional
Yeah.
state of the person and processing and going through those emotions to get to the point where you realize this isn't going to work. And that is you would might want someone to say don't go, but really it doesn't matter. You have to process what you are feeling. And so even though this whole song is waiting for someone else to say something, I think the purpose is more that you have to process what you are feeling.
I agree with all of that. I think something that has radically changed for me going through this song is the definition of madness at the beginning.
Mm,
Of sadness turns to madness. I originally always thought like
yeah.
crazy, quote unquote crazy, you know. The more we've gotten into this, the more I see the
Yeah,
rage,
anger.
the anger of why did you do this to me? And I think adding that combined with the we are a shot in the darkest dark, I don't know, it almost feels like it's like misdirected anger because the song starts out with we had no chance,
Yeah.
and then the rest of the song is but you made me love you, and it's I go through and it's like, well, there might be some self anger too of I went into this knowing we had no chance, and in this moment of seeing it fall apart I need to blame someone and I'm hurt, so I'm not blaming
Right.
myself, so I'm going to blame you. And maybe that person did have a role to play, but it's that moment of I maybe did not the wisest thing. We can make this expletive. It's the fuck around and find out, and this is the find out song.
Sappho.
And but the rage is like this is you. You did this to me. I'm so mad at you. But to me, it also reads as a song that maybe 3 months later, she's like, so maybe I
Right.
shouldn't have done
It's the
that in
thing
the
you
first
journal. It's the
place.
letter you write but
Yeah.
not send,
Hmm.
which is fine. Like that's part of processing. Like
Yeah.
that's and I think that also goes to like maybe why it's not on the album, right? Like this is part of the processing. It's not something you say in the moment, but 10 years later, it's a very valid reflection of how you were feeling and that's fine.
I'm realizing that I love the word madness for that reason, and that it can mean
Hmm.
multiple things. Like mad and anger is a very real emotion and rage. But madness to me also means illogical or inexplicable.
Hmm.
It could
Mm,
be maybe not quite in the like crazy neurological sense, but I do think that my interpretation is I understand that it is silly or like unreasonable, but I can't help it anyways. Like I
right.
understand that this
Hmm.
rage is not justified. I understand that this relationship was never going to work out from the start. I understand that this was not ever even supposed to happen. But frankly, it doesn't matter
Doesn't
that
matter.
I understand that. It doesn't matter what the details are.
It's how you
There
feel.
is just this emotion that you feel and you can't help it even if logically you know that you shouldn't be feeling that way. And I think as we go through the song, yes, it's the processing, but I also think that there's a level of madness in the repetition and the questions and the not getting the answers is leading to this. What happens when you have a phenomenon that you can't explain and you keep questioning it and over again? And when you can't explain a phenomenon, you sometimes turn to prayers, religion, or some other force. And I thought about the say don't go at the end, the way that she keeps repeating it. We've talked about this in some of her other music. It almost sounds like a prayer with the
It
echoes.
does. Yeah.
Also, like you're
Hmm.
saying, say don't go, say don't go. It's like she's saying this mantra to herself, just say don't go, say
Hmm.
don't go, say don't go over and over again. And so I actually feel like it's this song is a bit of like an irrational reaction prayer journey of like
Yeah.
anything, like she's holding on to something, just anything, just give me some hope, like just say this thing and it's not going to happen. And she realizes it's not going to happen. She's not going to get an answer because you don't always get answers when you shoot in the dark.
Yeah, and that's why the repetition of "but you won't" at the end felt so
Yeah.
powerful to me because it's trying to replace the prayer, it's trying to replace the
Right.
mantra.
Or it's fading
Yeah.
at the end. Yeah, that last one is it's
Hmm.
almost like she you feel her becoming more resolved as she says it every time because you're going
Yeah.
from hoping to like understanding that you
Accepting
won't.
even a
Yeah,
little.
exactly.
The fact that the song starts with "we had no chance and I turned mad" is so fascinating. I also not I hadn't really thought about it too until you were talking. She says, "I love you." So she started this relationship knowing they had no
Yeah.
shot. And yet, she says, I love you.
Totally
to this
illogical.
person. Totally illogical. She might be mad at herself. Like, and I think there's even an element of shame of like, I knew we had no chance. Now I
Yeah.
feel like an idiot. I'm alone. I'm embarrassed. I said I love you, and there was
Nothing.
silence. Like, that's a bad
Yeah,
feeling.
like, tell me this is not what's happening.
And that it's all of it. It's illogical. It's rage.
Yeah.
It feels kind of crazy. Like, the word madness captures so
does.
much
It's
of
a great
this song,
word,
I
yeah.
think. Yeah.
Cool, that was fun. Oh, I love this song.
I love
I
it.
love this
I'm
song.
gonna go blast this for the rest of the weekend.
Catch us next week as we deep dive and overanalyze another Taylor Swift song.
That's all we have for you today on AP Taylor Swift. Be sure to rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on your social channel of choice at AP Taylor Swift to stay up to date. And join us next time as we overanalyze and deep dive into the next Taylor Swift song on AP Taylor Swift.